All right, hey algebra. Today we are doing 5.3, which is slope-intercept form. This is one of my favorite lessons, so I hope you're excited for it. Should be a good one. All right, so our objective today is to write and graph linear equations using slope-intercept form. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so our key idea here is the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. And this is of a non-vertical line. All right, and that is also a function. All right, so it's a straight line. It's always going to be linear, which I guess we already have written there. But yeah, so the important thing here is slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. All right, and this is kind of adding on to what we did um, with direct variation. So if you look at this, we've got two main parts other than the y and the x, which don't change. All right, so the two things that are going to change are your m, which is always going to equal slope, just like we talked about with direct variation. And then the new part is your b, and b just means your y-intercept. All right, and just as a reminder, that y-intercept, what that means is basically where your line that you're graphing is going to cross the y-axis. All right, so if you look at this graph here on this blue one, that would be this point right here because this is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay. All right, so moving on, we're going to look here at problem 1, and this is on page 309. All right, so it asks what are the slope and y-intercept of the graph of y equals 5x minus 2. All right, so just remember we're in the form y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form. All right, so if we have y equals 5x minus 2, all right, we're just going to look at what corresponds with what. So m corresponds with 5, so m equals 5, or the slope equals 5. All right, and then we have b is negative 2, right, because we have minus 2 instead of plus 2. All right, so that tells us that because b equals negative 2, our y-intercept, our y-intercept is going to be negative 2. All right, so go ahead and try out on your own. Got it, problem 1A, and then we will move on to problem 2. All right, so for problem 2, we're doing the same thing as problem 1, but now we're going the other direction. All right, so we're going to start out with y equals mx plus b. All right, and then it says, what is an equation of the line with slope negative 4/5 and y-intercept of 7? All right, so we have m equals negative 4/5 because m is slope, and then b, or y-intercept, equals 7. All right, now all we have to do is plug in. Okay, so then we are left with y equals negative 4/5 x plus 7. And that's it for that one. So really simple, nice and easy start here. Go ahead on your own and try out Got It problem 2, and then we'll move on again. All right, if we look at problem 3, this is a multiple choice sort of thing. It says which equation represents the line shown. All right, so what I'm going to look at for this line is I'm going to look at two things. The first one I'm going to look at, and it doesn't matter which order you do this in, but I'm always going to look at b first, so your y-intercept. All right, and then you also are going to want m, your slope. All right, so I'm going to look here, my y-intercept, where does it cross the y-axis? That would be right here at negative 2. Okay, so our b is going to be negative 2. And then we have our slope. All right, so now I need to pick 2 points. I've already got one, our y-intercept. That's always really easy to work with. And then I will pick that point at 1, 0. All right, and now I'm just going to do rise over run. for our slope, just like we typically do. All right, so we go up 1, 2, and then our run is over 1. All right, so our slope would be 2 over 1, which equals 2. All right, so now we have our m and our b. So now we have, with y equals mx plus b, we can just plug in, and then really simply, we're already there. All right, so we have y equals m, which is 2, times x, and then plus b, which is negative 2, so minus 2. All right, so y equals 2x minus 2 should be our correct answer here. That would be option D. And let's check it. Yep, the correct answer is D. So we did that one right. All right. All right. So next, we're going to go ahead and do got it problem 3B. You're going to do that on your own. All right, so do that. And then once again, we'll just come back into the lesson. All right, so problem 4, this is where we start to look at some stuff without a graph. A little bit more difficult, but definitely manageable for us. So it says, what equation in slope-intercept form represents the line that passes through the points 2, 1, and 5, negative 8? All right, the first thing we're going to want to do is use the 2 points to find the slope. All right, so we have the points 2, 1, and then 5, negative 8. All right, just checking to make sure I wrote those down right. I did. Okay, so then I'm going to use our slope formula. So m equals y2, not y1, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm just going to plug in. All right, so I've got m equals our y2. I'm going to make that negative 8. And then minus y1 is going to be 1 over, we have x2, which is 5, and then minus 2. All right, then I'm just going to simplify. Negative 8 minus 1 is negative 9. And that's going to be over 5 minus 2, which is 3. Negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. So there's our slope. Our slope is negative 3. All right, so already we can start plugging points in, or pieces in, I guess, to our formula. All right, so I'm going to start writing our formula up here. We have y equals mx plus b. All right, we just found our m right here. All right, negative 3. So I'm going to erase that. I'm going to change it to negative 3x plus b. Okay. Now that we've found our m, we need to find our b. That's the last part of this. All right. So in order to do that, we're going to need to somehow make b the only variable that we don't have. All right. The thing that's really nice about this is that we're given 2 points here and here. Okay. So we can now choose either one of those points to work with. All right. I'm going to choose the first one because 2 and 1 are really easy numbers to work with typically. So we're going to go ahead and use that. And then we're just going to start plugging in. All right, so we're going to take this. We have y equals negative 3x plus b. And we're going to modify it by plugging in some values for x and y. All right, so we know that 2 is an x value and y is a y value, or 1 is a y value. So since we know that, we can go ahead and put those in there. All right, because those two values go together. All right, so y becomes 1, and then we have 1 equals negative 3 times x, but instead of x, we have 2. And then plus b. B is the part we still don't know. All right, so now we go ahead and simplify this. We're left with 1 equals negative 6 plus b. All right, and then lastly, we can add 6 to both sides. And we're left with 7 equals b. All right, and there's our y-intercept right there. So now we can go ahead and we can finish this off by plugging in 7 for b down here, or up here, I guess. All right, and that is our final equation for this one. You should have y equals negative 3x plus 7. So it's a few steps, but if you break it up into those steps, they're all really manageable. not a big deal. All right, so I want you to go ahead and try this problem out with got it problem number 4. All right, so give this one a shot, see if you can figure it out on your own, and then we'll continue on again. All right, problem 5 is about graphing a linear equation, but I have a feeling that you guys are capable of doing this without me showing you the example of problem 5. So I'm going to challenge you to go ahead and do problem 5a on your own without my help looking at problem 5. All right, and then after you do that, that is going to be the end of the video. So I hope that this is a nice little challenge for you, but I hope it's fun. I really enjoy this part of math, so hopefully you do too. And then I will see you guys in class.